If you had to crown a property market across India in terms of returns and price appreciation, the National Capital Region or NCR would win hands down. While the core of Delhi remains expensive and quite sought after, the Millennium City Gurgaon tops the charts in heady real estate returns. And what's not so surprising is that the other more reasonably priced markets like Noida, Noida Expressway, Greater Faridabad are all playing catch-up to Gurgaon on the price charts. The robustness of the NCR market comes from an insatiable appetite for real estate from investors in varying shapes and forms. From the hard-nosed brokers who underwrite large projects to the smart, savvy real estate players who dabble brazenly in the pre-launch game. And of course, let's not forget the high net worth double income MNC employees who simply don't know what to do with all the money they earn. And so leverage comfortably and end up owning at least 3 properties. The big question I'll pose to my panel today, does NCR stand a better chance of withholding or withstanding the current meltdown in real estate? Or does its very nature make this animal fraught with higher risks? I've got with me Prashant Solomon, Managing Director, Chintels India and Member Governing Council, CREDAI NCR. David E.J. Walker, Executive Director, Sare Homes Project Services. Also joined by Arjun Puri, MD Puri Constructions for the first time on the property show. Arjun, welcome. Amit Oberoi, National Director, Valuation and Advisory Services and Research, Colliers International. Sameer D'Souza, armed with a lot of data, founder and CEO of Prop Equity. And later in the show, for the Noida market, we'll be also joined by Mohit Arora, Director, Supertech.
Nobody across the board can deny that South Delhi and Delhi is down between 25% to 40%.
And this is the beginning? You think it could travel to Gurgaon?
That's what everybody's imagining, that if Delhi can come down, where there is very limited supply, why not Gurgaon? And why not
Why not
Noida?
Gurgaon? Prashant, why not Gurgaon?
Okay. Well, coming to the point...
Especially when the gap between resale and, developer prices has increased.
Yeah. Well, first of all, see, anything is possible. But I would tend to agree with Arjun on this, that the actual, there may have been a slowdown, but I think that's more of a reaction towards the overall panic that has taken place because of the dollar rupee and so many different economic slowdown is going on. So I think that's more of a panic reaction. I think markets, whether it's the stock market or it's the real estate market, they're all cyclical. I think the basic fundamentals have not changed. If you look at basic fundamentals like supply and demand, people are still moving into Delhi from all over the country. When I say Delhi, I mean NCR. And, there is absolutely no shortage of people that are looking for housing. I think it's more of a slowdown because people are maybe a little more cautious, as what you're saying, in terms of maybe wanting to wait it out.
Okay.
But in the long term, now coming to your thing about Delhi and Gurgaon, first of all, why has, what you're saying is that Delhi, the prices have dropped by around 20 to 30, maybe 40%. First of all, because there's a lot more availability, a lot more options today. A place like, say, Dwarka Expressway, where we are doing projects and other people are doing projects. In name, it is Gurgaon, but it is actually basically an extension of Delhi. The kind of projects that are coming up, there are all kinds of new villa developments and ultra high-end luxury projects that are coming up. I think people are now seeing that there is a greater option available than just South Delhi, which has problems in terms of traffic, in terms of parking and
okay,
all
we'll
kinds
come
of
to
things.
that micro market a little bit
Sure.
later, Prashant, but I get your point that, people would rather move out in the peripheries than stick with Delhi, and Delhi would. I'm not so sure though, Amit, would you agree with that you won't see a price drop in Gurgaon at all? And we will take some data for Gurgaon after this.
Manisha, as I see it at this point of time, primary sales have not come down at all. Ready properties in Gurgaon haven't come down.
Okay. So you're saying if you can see a built-up flat, then... So where is the pressure? Issues, and we're going to look at Dwarka Expressway. If I have the price chart in front of me, golf course extension has gone up by 28%. This is 1.5 years. Dwarka Expressway 31.4%. New Gurgaon sectors by 28.9%. So my goodness, if I look at these mouth-watering returns, I'm like, this seems to be a party which will never get over. Arjun, there is no expressway to talk about in Dwarka, and there are apartments ready and nobody willing to live in them. What will you do?
First of all, there's something that you and Samir have repeatedly been saying on this show, ever since this show started. Real estate is not a 3-month or a 6-month or a 1-year even time horizon investment. Real estate is meant to be a long-term investment. Now, what are we talking about here? Up till 3 months ago or 4 months ago, I had a project launch in the month of April or May this year. It did extremely well. And now suddenly in the last 3 months, sentiments have turned and markets have become slow. And we're talking about, the short-term investor panicking. But we're not supposed to be talking to the short-term investor anyway. We have never encouraged short-term investors to come and invest into real estate. This is supposed to be an investment which we are making for a period of 3 to 4 years. We are hoping that if, for example, we are investing in an apartment on Dwarka Expressway, then that value is going to double over the next 4 or 5 years. Once the expressway is completed, once social infrastructure comes into place, etc. If you're trying to make a fast buck on real estate in 3 months, double your money, then you need to be looking at other avenues of investment. You should not be in the real estate game in the first place.
I agree with you, Arjun, but it's just that all developers, maybe not Puri, but many developers have spoiled the investors, and investors have got into that game. The underwriting game is very huge in NCR. Prashant, what's your view? I mean, I totally agree with Arjun. Real estate is about 3 to 5 years. But when I talk about stress points and I say the resale market is seeing a lot of stress, do we then view it as a great opportunity for real investors, long-term investors to come in? Should they wait a little bit or should they buy now?
Well, I would say that, as Samir was saying earlier, I think that this is a good time to buy because if
now or 6 months later, how bad could things get?
Well, that's a very subjective thing. It depends on what is your goal. Like, for example, as Arjun was saying, if you're in it for the long term, then whether you buy today or you buy 6 months later, I don't really see much of a difference.
Prashant, it hurts a lot. You buy today at 8,000 and the prices come down to 7,200. Believe me, it will hurt.
But Manisha, the prices are not coming down. I mean, in the resale market maybe, but overall, if you look at the prices in places like Dwarka Expressway, for example, the prices have not really come down. I mean, maybe there could have been there is a slowdown in sales, but I don't think that has really affected the pricing.
No, it isn't. So my worry is, will it crack? Because resale market is cracking, and you can see the stress points. David, because Sari Homes wants to focus on the mid segment, I won't call it the budget segment, but mid to upper mid budget segment, aren't you finding that a lot of Gurgaon and Dwarka Expressway has outpriced itself?
There has been.
I mean, you really have to go far away.
There has been good appreciation, and Gurgaon has been a fantastic market. Picking up on a couple of points I think that have been made, I think that the Delhi market fall is from a much higher base. Prices in Delhi are much higher than Gurgaon, they're much higher than in Noida. And so it fits the concept of the luxury element that I was thinking about. I think in terms of timing, I think it's an excellent time to buy now. If you've invested in markets, then trying to find the top or trying to find the bottom is not really the game. If you've got a perspective of the 3 to 5 year time frame, and certainly beyond that, you will make great money. I think it is a fantastic time to buy. And if you think about the components, is land going to become cheaper, more available? We've got this new land bill, which what's that going to do? Put prices up or down? If you look at construction costs, is labor going to be cheaper? I don't think so. Steel, cement, I don't think so. So, ultimately, and also with NCR being such a huge economic engine for growth, people and demand must keep coming to the city. It continues to suck in people, and urbanization is a process that's going to carry on. So I think you've got the floor for cost is underwritten, and the demand is there.
Unfortunately, there is no room for prices to come down.
No.
Okay.
I have a very interesting point to add here. Not in the immediate short term, but we are talking about the government going full steam ahead in making the Delhi master plan a reality. we are going to be adding 700 square kilometers in the NCR region purely in Delhi. And the land prices over there in which acquisitions have been made over there are 1 crore to 3 crores an acre, which is much cheaper than what land has been bought by developers in Noida or Gurgaon for that matter. So you are going to witness, not in the immediate short term, but having said that, the land pooling policy is just going to be getting cleared. You're going to see group housing projects, unbelievable amount of them getting announced in Delhi over the next 2 to 5 years.
Prashant, you did make a point that, Dwarka Expressway, in fact, Arjun also made that point very strongly, that Dwarka Expressway is pretty much an extension of Delhi.
Correct.
What happens when all this supply comes into Delhi?
Can I just add to something he said? That the infrastructure like this, is coming in. I mean, the roads are being built. So when you asked earlier about whether now or 6 months later, 6 months later, the infrastructure is going to be better than what it is now. So I would say if you have to invest, this is the right time. Now coming to what
6 months, infrastructure turns around so much in this country.
But if you look at the pace at which the sector roads are being built, they're coming up very fast.
Yes,
okay? So coming to the point about Delhi, I really don't think, yes, there is going to be a lot of supply in Delhi, but Delhi has a lot of other issues, things like multiplicity of authority, for example. There's still a lot of ambiguity as to, how about the approvals, about, things are still taking their time to get sorted out. So I think, yes, although, there's going to be a lot of supply in Delhi, but I think it's going to take a little longer than what he's projecting.
So you're sticking to your guns, Prashant, and saying prices aren't going to come down, developers don't have room to bring down prices, and you don't see any worries ahead. This is a good time to buy.
Yeah. See, look at it this way: there is still supply. There is supply in Delhi even now. Even if somebody wants to buy a house in Delhi, the availability is there. Not affordable housing.
I mean, when I'm talking about affordable, I start with a 50 to 60 lakh.
More supply in Delhi than Gurgaon, Noida, Ghaziabad, Greater Noida, and Faridabad put together.
Right, but there again it depends. But there again, it also depends on the kind of product that you're talking about. Now, if you're talking about affordable housing is a different product segment altogether compared to say luxury housing.
Luxury housing.
So people who are looking for affordable housing are not your people who are going to buy your luxury housing anyways.
Sure, but Delhi is going to come out with all types of asset classes within residential because the land prices.
So let's take a very quick break here because this conversation can go on. It's a long, large debate. We will look at other markets, Faridabad and Noida. We can't ignore them. For Dwarka Expressway, Gurgaon, it seems that yes, sales have slowed down, but prices aren't going to come down for specific reasons outlined. Inflation's one, land acquisition bill, which is now soon going to become an act, will make acquiring new land very expensive. Weigh that out with land pooling policy in Delhi, which will probably make huge amount or huge tracts of land available for new housing. We're going to weigh that a little bit more. We'll thank Prashant at this stage for joining in with his views because they've got very interesting projects on Dwarka Expressway. The rest of the panel continues. You keep watching. National Capital Region NCR is in focus and Noida and Faridabad